Ranji, which is Sanskrit for entertainment of the mind. Last week I was in Shanghai and I came across this article in the Shanghai Daily. It's about Foxconn, the company that produces all our iPhones, 300,000 people in a huge industrial park. And the last 6 months they had 10 suicides, people jumping off the buildings. I think Steve Jobs didn't like it. I would like to look inside his brain now. But Mr. Terry Gou, the chairman of the company, he announced this brilliant plan to prevent new suicides. He said he was going to install safety nets around all the buildings, So people, they will stop dying, but they won't stop jumping. Furthermore, he denied the company's responsibility by saying, we're a company, we're not a society. And I think there Terry Gou hits the spot because people have become work has become separated from people's lives, for millions of people, I mean. It's become so efficient and broken down into specialized activities that, it's monotonous, repetitive, and unchallenging. So if we want to maintain our high standard of living, if we want to keep on to our iPhones and our cars and our cheap clothes, we have to understand that the quality of the work will not be the main priority. But I'm not going to say that we can't have our iPhones anymore. But if we're so smart in designing these hyper-effective and hyper-efficient production processes, why can't we design work experiences that are much more fun to be in? That are pleasurable, that are challenging, and that make work into a flow activity. I was thinking about the eye hospital in Rotterdam that we saw this morning, where they redesigned the environment so people with stress because they go to surgery feel more comfortable. Something similar. Well, the concept of flow was already mentioned. It's a psychological concept discovered by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, which his name is more complicated than his equation, by the way. But it says we feel most engaged with whatever we're doing when we are involved in mastering a challenge. If the challenge is too low, we get bored. If the challenge is too high for our skill level, we get frustrated. If there is a perfect balance, we get into the flow. We get immersed in what we're doing. We get concentrated, get into focus, and we like what we're doing. We lose our sense of time. Well, game designers are particularly good in designing flow experiences. They control the main elements of flow, providing clear goals, giving immediate feedback to what you're doing so you can improve yourself, and challenging players just above their skills. People can play games for days, for weeks, even for months, even years. Games get people immersed. They have fun, they lose their sense of time. So why can't we turn work into a game? There was this experiment in Sweden that I want to show you, sponsored by Volkswagen. They took a stair where people had to go up the stairs, and most of the people, they prefer the escalator. They're lazy. They know that walking stairs is good for you, but they don't. Then they redesigned the stairs into the keys of a piano. And they made sounds when you stepped on them, and this triggered the curiosity of the people. They immediately started to explore the world, and they started jumping up and down the stairs to compose little melodies. They got into this playful state. 66% more people took the stairs, and what you see is that the activity becomes part of a bigger context that adds meaning to it. Well, can we apply this principle to a work environment where people do boring and repetitive work all the time, and there's nothing to do about it because they have to do it? We need our iPhones. Well, the game principles will have to be much more, I'm not going to say complex, I'm going to say sophisticated. deeper. You know, I'm not talking about just adding a reward system that gives you points for whatever you do. Something that Jesse Shell suggested in one of the TED talks that I saw. That would be just an extrinsic motivation where we want people to be motivated from within. So you will need to, I'm going to talk about this later, you will need to take the primary work activities and use them as the input, the driving force for a constellation of game challenges, game missions. And they need to have a growing complexity, so you'll be able to improve yourself, not only in your work activities, but in a wider range of skills. We're doing this experiment at the moment in the Dutch greenhouse flower farming industry, where people are sitting behind conveyor belts, you know, doing simple work for 3 months usually, and then they move to another job. And we're trying to, you know, to make their work more pleasurable with the game, to stimulate social interaction, they're picking up knowledge also along the way. Well, technically this is really well possible because they use these registration systems that scan almost every action that's been done to a plant from the start to finish. So you get loads of real-time and objective data that you can use for the progress in the game, and that you can use for feedback to the players, as I call them then. This might sound a little bit artificial, and it is, but all games are artificial, in fact. And it doesn't matter, you know, it's the perception that counts. If people will perceive their work as more fun and more pleasurable, because it is not only an isolated activity, but it's part of an enjoyable world of the game, they will eventually like it better. And when people like things, they will do them better rather than when they get paid for them. Okay, I've 8 seconds. But I'm finished because this was my conclusion. And I just wanted to add that most successful people, they don't see their job as work, they see it as a game. Even when they're filthy rich, they keep on playing, they go on. This is Mr. Ikea. This is, what's his name? Warren Buffett, who says he goes tap dancing to his work every day. Steven Spielberg, he translated this, he's called Steven Play Mountain. He's a playboy. He plays with toys, and he plays with the world. Thank you very much, and enjoy yourself.
So life is a big game, right? Or it should be, if you want to live it to the fullest.
It shouldn't be, but it might make a lot of things a lot more fun, or maybe pleasurable, or maybe challenging,
and more effective.
And more effective, because that's, of course, that's the conclusion. The production will become higher when people like what they're doing.
It is actually, as you say, it's an old principle. I mean, people who enjoy their jobs, they usually perform at them better, and
that's
you can further institutionalize this.
Yeah, what I was talking about now was people that have to do boring jobs, because there are lots of boring jobs. But it also works for jobs that are not boring. IBM, for example, is now experimenting with leadership methods that they copied from World of Warcraft. So also, on that level, people will be able to learn from games or to incorporate game principles into work.
Thank you very much. Reinier, sorry.
Marcus.
Marcus Vlaar.
Hi, Max.